figure it out.
Do it live.
This is Overtime, a live series. It's not swapping over there. Oh, I guess we're live. It never did the opening there.
Live at the top of
All right.
I am alive, I believe, and it says we're live, so 2 for 2, right?
It does, man. It does. I guess I won't let you play the opening after you leave.
There we go.
Ryan, how's everything going, buddy?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Just another day here in paradise, as folks like to say. So I'm taking that line and using it. I don't necessarily believe it, but I'm an eternal optimist, and so I can't. I'm done. I don't have anything else.
Really?
It's what? Really? Yes, I'm an optimist.
No, you optimist. Eternal optimist.
Oh, I'm an eternal optimist. I'm just depressed right now. So
why are you depressed, Ryan?
Greg, it's one of the things that I've been kind of working through. Whoops, sorry, we turn that off so that don't happen again. Is this idea that whatever you think about Biden or Trump or kind of that whole shebang there, I've just kind of learned that most people really don't want. Everyone says they want the news fair and balanced. Everyone says they want to hear different perspectives. I've kind of learned that that's just not the case, and that's in it for someone who's kind of in the media like I am, a little small sliver. It's kind of frustrating because I could go out there and pretend to be Sean Hannity or Jim Acosta or whatever. It doesn't interest me, and so because you don't want to do that, then you're kind of stuck going, well, okay, I'm not going to do that. So where does that leave me? Well, it leaves me kind of spot where you're always making everyone mad, which I'm used to making everyone mad, but you just like to think that people were more interested in having real conversations around the problems that our nation and the world faces. So
I agree.
Which is why we do the show. Hopefully we could inspire people.
That's what we're here for. We're here for inspiration.
Either that or comedy, one of the two.
I like them both, man.
Or an in-depth review of Clone Wars. I'm game for that as well.
I haven't made it all the way into I have to be honest, I didn't make it past episode 1, dude. I was gonna lie a little bit this morning and be.
You could have said I didn't finish the first season, and that would have been truthful.
Yeah, after I sent you that one photo, I did. I didn't make it.
Well, I had it turned on.
It was interesting. I will have to say, I did enjoy the first probably, I don't know, a few minutes of it, and I was like, okay, I have to move on. There's something else I have to do, and yeah, I moved on.
Well, it's okay. You can come back anytime you want to. They're waiting on you.
I need to.
Are you in a disclosed location today, or are you still undisclosed? You're in a different.
I've made it back to sunny Houston today.
There we go.
I say sunny. It's nice and nice and wet, but it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm working on getting all the material up here. A little bit of technical difficulties this morning. Everything decided it needed an update today, so that's always good. We frozen?
I'm live. I'm ready. I'm waiting on you, man. You tell me what's
going on. Man, I hear you. I'm waiting to get back to the screen here.
Oh.
It's looking at me and it's just spinning here and it's checking everything out. It's like, all right, hey, there we are.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Yeah. So, for our oil prices this week, maybe we'll throw the rundown up there if it'll actually let me share the screen today. Maybe I'll get lucky here. All right. Come on. There we go.
Hey, look at that.
It's up there, man.
Got it. We got it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk a little bit about our oil prices. KXl Pipeline shut down. Look at there. I misspelled shut down for Biden. That's awesome. Federal oil and gas permitting. I did this in like 7 seconds this morning. Halliburton's Electric Frac. I heard you and Josh talk about that a little bit a couple of days ago. So we'll just run back across that. Fauci says he'll rejoin the WHO. Right?
Yay. The band or the
I don't know, man. We'll talk about
didn't he?
Brees and the Saints, if I can find all my links there. I left Quentin Tarantino up there. I guess he was important from last show. But yeah, the Mets GM only lasted 37 days. Did you see that one, Ryan?
I did see that one.
Okay.
That's aggressive.
That's brutal.
He's an aggressive guy. So
yeah, that's brutal. And then we'll talk about McGregor and Poirier. So is that how you pronounce his name? Poirier?
Yeah, Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
He's from Lafayette.
Is he?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's down there from Lafayette. Yeah. I met him one time at when I was managing fighters. I met him at a show down there that Tim Crater was putting on. I had one of my guys fighting on Tim Crater's show, and he was there. He's a little bitty fella. You know, he's 155er, so he's like what 5'6", 5'7", you know, and so listen, I'm not listen, you know, Dustin would come and choke me out in like 37 seconds. It's not like he's a little guy I can take him. It's just, you know, you see him in person, like, wow, he is a little fella, you know, and it's crazy. So
put you on the
5'8". I don't know if he's 5'8". Okay, he's 5'8". This is, but so
that's still yeah. I mean, it still doesn't. When you're talking about MMA and you're talking about all the stuff these guys do, I mean, size does matter, but at the end of the day, they can do things that you can't, and they have knowledge that you don't have. So,
yeah. You're talking about my body's a pretzel. I'm in a pretzel, and yeah, joints are snapping and bones are breaking, and it's ugly. It's just ugly.
It sounds ugly. Ryan, for our oil prices, man, let's look at there. What do we got? How you feeling today about them?
Well, you know, I'm feeling great.
52, 55.
I think I told you last week. I am just now moving forward. I'm lovely on the oil prices. I did see right before we came on that the EIA, I guess, released their data today because I guess they're closed on Wednesday because of the inauguration. So I haven't seen. I saw some people talking about what we had from the report. Let me pull it up here, see what it says. So looks like we had a build. Yeah, crude inventories increases 4.4 million barrels from last week. So that's up a little bit. Of course, we're going to talk about this later on, I think, but Biden put the temporary ban on new leases on federal lands. So, you know, that actually is a good thing for prices, right?
You would think so, yeah. I agree.
Whether we think it's good for the industry or not, it's a different discussion, but it's a good thing. And then, of course, the cancel the Keystone Pipeline is actually probably a good thing for prices. And it's a good thing for prices in the wrong way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, there's James again from Brazil.
Everybody coming in? All right. Morning, everybody. Afternoon, night, wherever you're at in the world. All right. You think where do you think Brent's going to be at middle of the year? 65? I figured if I went real high with it, you would like that.
Yeah, I would say 65.
65.
No, I don't think that. I don't know anymore, Greg. The world's lost its mind. You're asking me to make a rational choice around irrational actions, and so I don't know. So you know, I was talking to someone the other day, and they think that we're gonna start to see some more bearish signs here, February or March, especially coming from China. That some of the data that's going to come in from China is going to really hamper the market. So you know, we'll see about that. And so you know, I had someone call me and ask about steel prices, and I'm no steel price expert. That's steel prices when I think about them, and and this guy's in the steel industry, and he said that usually when steel goes up, the price of oil kind of follows, right?
Right.
And he was confused about why that wasn't the case. So I call a buddy of mine. I won't say his name publicly, but if you follow me enough, you'll see me sharing his stuff figured out. But and I was asking him his thoughts on it, and he said, "Well, a lot of the steel prices are up because there's supply distribution issues." And so he started naming off these countries and the various problems. So the price is up, but it's not a demand driven deal. It's just that that these countries are struggling to get the steel to market. So if you look at the historical indicator, it's kind of out of whack, right? Because the steel's up, the oil should directly follow, but it's not going to follow according to him because they're having problems getting the steel to market. So you look at stuff like that, and it's just, I don't know. What do you think? You think Biden's gonna get 100 million people vaccinated in the first 100 days?
No, man. There's no way. What would he? There's no way. I mean, no. I mean, would it be a good thing? Yeah, it would be a great thing. But it's just, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, first off, you have to. You only have so much National Guard, dude. I mean, but they're all busy having the I'm at the DC wrapped up right now with all the security. So you only have so much National Guard you can deploy in so many different states. So, I mean, if he's wanting to push this really hard, he's going to need military support and support from all the other branches, and they need to start going into different states and helping the governors out and whatnot. And I mean, some states are not going to be like, hey, yeah, everybody get in line and get this. They're going to be like, okay, we'll go to the website and sign up for the vaccine and do things by the rules. And, so if he wants to push it hard, he's going to have to take all the National Guard and send them all everywhere, so.
Right. But how many people actually want the vaccine, you think?
I don't know. I want it, I'll be quite honest, but I mean, I'm going to wait until later on.
But let me ask you this. Okay. So do you want it, if you weren't traveling the universe, the galaxy as it is, going to all these exotic places that you do on a daily basis, would you still want it, or are you doing it to mitigate having to deal with the stuff internationally?
In my job, I need it. I need it moving around the way we do.
Right.
But
if you're in Houston 24/7, you didn't leave. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you didn't leave and you stayed in Houston full time, would you still want to get it?
It's hard to answer that question, Ryan, because I haven't been in a full-time job at home in 27 years.
Right.
So I wouldn't really know.
So I'll tell you my perspective. So my perspective is, if I got to travel overseas or something like that, which is possible at some point, we'll see. This year, I usually go out of the country at least once or twice a year. Then I'll get it just because I don't want to have to deal with all the rigmarole of wearing a mask on plane, quarantining, all this. So for that alone, I would get it.
Well, vaccine or not, it's mandatory now, bro. So
even if you have a vaccine,
yeah, there's the mandatory mask on planes and trains. He signed that yesterday too, man.
So. I know he signed that, but I was hoping that if you had a vaccine, they would let you slide by that one, like proof of vaccine on your little. No. Oh, well,
no, I'm just thinking about how easy that would be to forge, just because
sure, but
I mean, I've seen forged medical records before. So
not that you've ever forged any yourself, or you condone such practices. But
no, I mean, when we're doing, whenever we're looking at different vendors and bringing crews on, and we have to personally go through all these documents, or at least spot check the documents, and I've seen some some forged certificates before and some different things. But the point that I'm making is that I don't think there'll ever be a time whenever the airlines say no masks. I don't see it. I mean,
that's the most. Why are you depressing me on a Friday, man? On a Friday.
Normally this would be a Thursday. Everyone, sorry about the change of day there. I was coming from outer space and needed to move it my one day. I'm sorry, Ryan. I ruined your morning. But I don't see maybe domestically, but never internationally. I don't see anything.
Wow. Well, then I won't get. I mean, so I'd have to make what I've kind of told people is for me to go internationally, it had to be for a lot of money because I wear a mask for a long period of time. Now I would get the vaccine for that, but I'm not going to get it if I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to get it because my survival rate is listen. You can't see this as we talked before though. I got a few tarpoliums in my closet, so I may have one or two of the comorbidities listed with COVID-19. But I got the Chris Christie rule. If Chris Christie survives it, then I can do it. Whatever he does, I can do. And so, it's hard for me.
You have the Chris Christie rule.
Yeah, the Chris Christie rule. Whatever he survives, I can too. That's kind of my motto in life.
That's great. That's great, man. I didn't even think about that.
So, I have no desire to get it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer per se. I'm not a pro-vaxxer. I don't get the flu shot every year. My kids and wife get it sometimes they don't. So, for me, it's just I don't really figure if I have to get it for like travel or something like that, then I will. But other than that, I wouldn't get it because the survival rate is higher than the efficacy of the vaccine. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense from my perspective to get it. So,
I mean, I do whatever I got to do to get on the plane. That's
no. I understand. That's what I'm saying. Like if I was in your boat, I would definitely get it. There's no doubt about it. I get it and get it quickly and
even all the other shots that we get, it's not like I wanted to get those just simply because, oh, hey, it'd be great. You know what? I'm going to go get this typhoid.
Yes.
Fever. I'm going to go get this shot because I saw it might be good for me to have it if I'm going to stay in my house and watch cartoons with my kids on Saturday. Like that's not the right. That's not the thing. Yeah.
So,
so Mr. K here says that 75 to 80 if Biden puts more regulations in place.
So the interesting thing is if he puts more regulations in place, so the current drilling, unless he does something drastic, the current drilling on the
I'm sorry, Ryan. When I see stuff, I have to laugh. I'm sorry, but go ahead with what you were saying about the. Go ahead, Carter. That was a good one, buddy. That was good.
So I'm saying that so the way it currently works with the BLM stuff, the Bureau of Land Management, just so we're clear, is that one of those, if they could change their acronym, that would be helpful for the rest of us because it's kind of in the oil and gas world, like BLM, not that BLM, And so, but anyways, if you look at it and say he's just temporarily put a freeze on buying new auction land, getting new auctions in 60 days. I think it's 60 days. Okay, that's not really an impact on the industry because 60 days from now that could go on. Trump had a big auction before he left. I don't know how people bought, but so that's not necessarily a concern. And then if you are drilling or have a permit to drill, you can drill. So that's not really that big of a deal right now. The question is,
it was more for he was shaking hands and kissing babies. That's all. That's what he was doing.
That's right. So the question is, what does he do 60 days from now? Does he really ramp it up and really get serious? Or is this kind of a, hey, let me throw this out there, placate the base, 60 days, we'll go about our business. Everyone's forgotten about it. And so I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Let's check out the pipeline discussion there. Which I don't know. Is this going to be the nail in the coffin, buddy? What do you think? I mean, all right. So for those of you that don't know, Biden came in and went ahead and wrote off the KXl Pipeline. I mean, for anybody again that doesn't know about it, it's been a project that's been in place for, as Ryan said in one of our other shows, a smooth decade. So, I mean, there's nothing in this. Yeah, there's. By now, there's places starting to go brown and brown fields created after 10 years of production and 12, 15 years of production. We're still trying to get this one going. So, but from, Calgary-based TC Energy will eliminate up to, I would say more than, it says more than here, 1,000 construction jobs in the coming week and halt work on the KXl oil pipeline due to the U.S. President Joe Biden's revoking of the project's presidential permit, the company said in an email to its employees. That was Richard. Nice. KXL's president's name is Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. So now, Ryan, I think it'd have to be, by the grace of God, if it ever moved again. I would say that's a bullet to the heart right there for, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so the only hope I think you have here is, and I'm not a lawyer, I only play one occasionally, is that can Keystone can Keystone get the Supreme Court to overrule this executive order? So, Trump administration with the DACA stuff, they issued an executive. They tried to. I can't remember how this worked out, but I think they tried to rescind an Obama executive order, and someone sued, and the Supreme Court said no, you can't do that. I think that's how that worked out. So theoretically, the Supreme Court could rule in their favor, but beyond that, do they have all their Corps of Engineer permits? Because there's always something. There's always like one little government bureaucracy over here that's getting you, and then you get that one that's over here, and then it's some federal judge over there. And if I was a landowner, Greg, along this right of way, I don't know how much is on private land, but if I own some property on this right of way, I would sue the government for loss of use of my property because I've got an agreement with Keystone to build this pipeline. So I can't do anything with the property. You communists are always screwing it up, and so they can't build on my property. My property, my 100-foot right of way, is being held up in perpetuity by you people. So
right. So what you're saying is they have is the actual landowner probably has more skin in the game at this point.
Yeah, we think about it. They've had a decade just sitting there going, well, they're gonna. I would put this nice shed there, but they're gonna build it. I can't do that now.
I'm gonna wait 12 years before I put this shit up, just in case TC Energy wants to come through.
And so
that's a good question, Jose. I'm not.
So the answer, I had someone send me a note on this a while back. I believe they bought most of the right of way already, and so that's a whole other question: is if the federal government, cost them the permit, would they have to pay it back? So they've had to either secure an option at the minimum, right?
Yeah.
But they had to keep the option going, which means that they'd probably have paid in full already, or they bought the right of way.
They either bought it or they got like a 99-year lease or something on the property.
They bought it. They've exchanged money. So they've exchanged money. Well, the landowners then have to pay the money back to the energy company because the government prevented them from building it. Like, you get all kinds of just nonsense here. And so
it's total nonsense, because now if they have to give that back, then that's say that's 10 years that TC Energy have been paying all of these property taxes and land and everything else, and now all of a sudden that 10 years is going to go back to the landowner. It's going to be like, oh, here, you can have all this back, by the way. So where are you setting that in the tax game too, in a lot of these different places?
Yeah. And hey, a little bit of breaking news.
Nasty.
A little bit of breaking news here, Greg. I saw before we got on, and I hadn't seen it confirmed, but I just got it confirmed. Hank Aaron passed away.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah. So I'd seen it before we got on, but it was someone a random person on Twitter. I wasn't sure if it's true or not, but I did see that
Mr. Aaron, pretty famous. Yeah.
Yep, the former home run king.
Well, he did worlds of wonders for the sport. So. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, breaking news there, Ryan. Thanks for the Friday morning news there.
You've already depressed me, so listen, it's I owed you that.
Well, the next one on the list is our Biden suspending the federal oil and gas permitting. And as you said earlier, I think short term it doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, again, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But the pile of permits that went in there at the last minute, from what I understand, were pretty massive. I think it was like, when they talk about the, I saw this one about the FBI Russia folder was about a foot thick laying on his desk, and he just signed the top page and said approved. So he's gonna so he just opened all of that up to the public. Everything that was in that file, he just wrote the cover letter, and he just said out the door. And so I'm thinking permits were the same way. I'm thinking drilling permits were probably in a foot thick folder the same way as the FBI and Russia folder. And I'm thinking of him just signing the top page and just throwing it out the door.
Yeah.
And just saying, here, guys, it's approved. Go on, hit it,
Yep. Hopefully.
But was it for 60 days?
Yeah, I think it's 60. It's 30 or 60. It's not that long.
I think you're right. I think it was 60 days.
And he says that he wants to get his secretary of whatever in Interior. I can't remember which department it was. But anyways,
during the pause, activities may be approved by certain agency officials, and the order does not limit existing operations.
Right.
So that's the deal. Yeah,
you're good to go. You can't buy a new one. That's why I said it's not necessarily the end of the world unless you're planning to buy one for some reason. Get one right now. But the real question is going to be is this, like you say, this a virtue signal to parts of the left, or is this a serious serious take on how he's going to handle federal permits?
It's going to be interesting to see what comes after this little temporary pause. I think if you got a bit in the ground, I think you need to be, go ahead and cranking up other operations just to get things in play before the 60 days come up. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, right.
As long as if there's an existing operation, it's the definition of existing operation. So if you had it on the, a forecast to drill, however many wells over the next 5 years, would that not be considered existing plans in place? I mean,
yeah, I think this is for new permits. If you don't have a permit and you want to go buy some permits, they're not going to sell you any, and so that's the thing, or approve any or whatever.
Man. Pipe wrench just slung up in everything. But like you said, like we were talking about before we started up the show, is like there's that moment of time between one president and the other president. It was like 12 hours. It's like we were free.
You're free.
We were free. We were a free society. We didn't have anybody to answer to. I agree.
It's a weird feeling.
And it's a shame because I was on a plane that entire 12 hours almost trying to get back.
Oh, man.
All right. We'll move over here to the next little thing to talk about here. So a lot of these rigs offshore are stacked. A lot of them are, especially when we start talking about, newer rigs. And these 8500 and 8501 or the 8500 class rigs were, I think they're 2004, 2005 model vessels, which by all standards is not very old for one of these semis. When you start talking about old semis, you start talking about 75, 74, 75, and it's had 14, 15 upgrades on it and brought it up to, a certain generation class vessel, added blisters and, other things to the sides of the vessels. But hey, SpaceX just bought them a couple of semis there. They didn't just buy them. I mean, they bought them under a Lone Star Mineral Development. That was a company that was registered by SpaceX's CFO, Brett Johnson, last year. And they bought both of these vessels for $3.5 million each. Okay, so $7 million. They got them 2 floaters. And they were probably in decent shape. I mean, 16 year floaters. So they're going to be converting them to offshore launching facilities. And so these are DP3 class vessels. So they're just like, all your big container ships. They have full mobility, 360 degrees mobility. They don't have anything that's actually keeping them. Looks like this one, the 80. I think this is the 8501 here, but it looks like they do have some support anchors, so some backing support anchors. But anyway, they have these things do a lot of work, and he picked them up pretty cheap, man.
Well, this is much more your territory than mine. I will say that how much you pay for them?
$7 million for both.
Yeah. So
You're right, James. It's peanuts.
yeah, Elon Musk is also, just so you know, put out yesterday, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, yesterday, that he's donating $100 million towards a prize for best carbon capture technology. So yeah, so $7 million for him is just little crumbs.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what the cost is going to look like to convert these guys over, but you can just, I mean, it's already set up for. I don't know what the force of one of those rockets take. I don't know what you would do here. It'd be extremely interesting to see what it looks like after the fact. You know, I'm sure there'll be some choppers flying around and taking some video of it.
Yep. Well, are you what do you think about like going to Mars stuff?
Well, I would say let's talk about getting sorted out with the moon first, and then we'll. Because I mean, I don't.
Trips there.
What's that?
Make regular trips to the moon first.
Well, I'm just thinking that the big picture there was that we would get set up, properly with a secondary launching station on the moon, and then that would be the next point there. So, yeah, I would say that like until it got till it became normal, just normal for people going back and forth between here and the moon, then it's hard for me to believe that we would we will go
to Mars.
But, yeah, why wouldn't we?
In our lifetime?
Yes, in our lifetime.
Successfully go, or we will attempt to go and fail?
I think it'll be a success.
Okay, so
but I mean, what? Okay, so there's different levels of success. Will the ship arrive with people still on it?
Someone gets off and steps foot on Mars alive, whether they get back or not. Separate, because who knows if they want.
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay, interesting.
If they don't, then there's a lot of money being spent somewhere for Mars. So
yeah, there's a lot of money being wasted on the Mars stuff. So I mean, I think
you don't think so. I can tell in your.
No, I'm not convinced. Partially because you hit the nail on the head. We're not really set up to go to Mars, and I'm trying to find this.
No, not yet.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to find this book so I can tell people about it. It's free on Audible if you have an Audible account deal. Anyways, I'll try to find what I'm talking here. But to your point, originally in the space program in the 60s, there was a big contingency of NASA that wanted to build out kind of this step-by-step process so that we could send people regularly to the moon and regularly to Mars. And you'd kind of have the International Space Station, but on steroids, right? And you could have these launching not probes, but stations. Well, we didn't do that because we wanted to beat the Russians. And so this book goes through. It's a short book, short read, short listen. It goes through the orbiter and how they came up with that idea. But because we did that, we kind of negated setting up all this stuff that would help us for longer missions to Mars or wherever. So I don't think that we're really set up to go to Mars. We're not set up to go to Mars and get back. So, if you send someone, you're sending them on a death mission. I think people like the idea of the death mission now. I don't know how well it's going to go. And even if you do send someone and they die on Mars, I got a feeling that that's just not going to inspire many more people to go. Like, I think it's like, oh, wow, they went to Mars and then they died. Yeah, that doesn't sound like very special. I think so. I don't know.
I mean, there's many. Well, I mean, it's a very.
How long does it take to get to Mars?
Like 6 months.
6 months? Okay.
So the thing there, I mean, there's so many technical moving parts of that. I mean, there's food, there's atmosphere, there's the atrophy with the body. There's so many different things, and so if they can't figure out how to do it on the moon, Like, go set the habitat up on the moon and live on the moon for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so they got it set up in the desert in, Nevada. All right, so they haven't went through the full thing of going up there, sitting down, building the habitat. I mean, here you're still in your mind. If you're even in Nevada, you're still in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, that's okay. If something goes bad here, I don't have to worry about slinging a piece of tape on the wall whenever a rock flies through it. It gives you a false sense of security. So
Right.
go set it up on the moon. Go set it up on the moon. Live on the moon. Terraform. Do something inside your little dome there. Create some food on the moon in there. I mean, you got to do something. It can't.
Exactly.
You got to look like It has to be something better than just being in the Consumer Science magazine like they have now. So.
No, I agree. And so I found the book, and I'll share this in the little chat stream here in a second. It's called "The Man Who Knew the Way to the Moon," and so they talk about
Jose. We're going to get kicked off. Right behind monkeys came Congress. I agree.
Yeah, this is only on Audible, or audiobook. So, but I'll share it out for folks who want to get. But "The Man Who Knew the Way to the Moon," it talks about it's not about going to Mars, but it does address how they shifted the space program, and we're really not. They're addressing just how we got to the moon. But if you listen to the book, you take what they said. We're really not set up for long missions in space because of how we handled things back in the 60s. So, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just more of a factual thing. Yeah, James, I think that's the thing. Is like when you ask, it's one thing to say, "Hey, you're gonna go to Mars," and it's like, well, then what? I mean, as you said, it's 6 months, Greg, right? So
yes.
6 months, okay, that just gets you there. And then when you get off, you're just gonna starve to death. They can give you a cyanide pill. I mean, and I'm being serious here.
Yes.
What are you gonna do? And I don't think that. I mean, there is someone that would be inspired enough to go. But I think once if they go and they get there and then they die, everyone's gonna be like, well, that was really stupid. Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't get that. Like, you go to Mars to die. That's so when you think about historic explorers, they went to conquer something, they went to try something, they're pushing the bounds, but the reward was something that was there: gold, silver, whatever they thought it was in their mind, tea, spice, all these things that they were going after. They had this reward. Here, you walk off, step on red dirt, and starve to death. I mean,
okay. I mean, that's a great point, but it's also the same thing for, so like when James Cameron took a dip and went into the Marianas Trench. So,
but he made a ton of money off of the Marianas Trench. That's a good one.
He found some gooey stuff and a new worm. So
he made Avatar.
He did make Avatar. He did. Okay, so but James Cameron's not going to Mars because we all know why people are not going to go to Mars, because it is a one-way trip. Because there's no way at this moment in time when they don't have the science to get you back. So it's just
no. And let's be honest,
and we're steadily culture canceling every piece of power that can get you back. So
let me ask you seriously. You send 2 people to Mars, right? I'm assuming you send 1 person. That's a long time to be in ISO for 6 months in space. Like, that's depressing. So you're sending 2 people potentially?
I thought. What was the? There's a whole. NASA's already got the whole project written out. I thought there was 8. I thought there was 4 and 4.
Okay, 8. So you're sending 8 people. Okay, you're sending 8 people.
You're gonna
in space, but you can't turn back. You can't do anything. That like the pressure that you're talking about is the most unique pressure in human history. Because you cannot.
Have you watched the series Away? So there's
no.
It's what's the I'm trying to remember the name of the girl boxer that was on that movie with Clint Eastwood. Was it Baby, where he was doing the what's her name? Anyway, he goes through the whole Mars mission, the whole thing that was, or the supposed plan to go to Mars. So, it's if you look that up, or maybe it's not even it's Away. If you look up Away, it will.
Show or movie?
No, it's a season 1, and I think it's on Netflix or Prime 1.
Okay, I got it right here. I got more. So, but seriously, so
that's it. That goes through the whole thing there, and I mean it's awesome.
Let me set you correct.
Yeah.
Like you're on a one-way trip. Okay, you can't turn around, you can't do anything, and you're 3 months in, and Ryan pops off because Ryan pops off from time to time if you haven't noticed, and you're thinking, okay, Ryan's the first one off this ship to Mars. No, no. I've been listening to that gun popper for 3 months in this little rust bucket going to Mars. He ain't the first one off this ship. Okay.
Well, that's just the thing, though. I don't think they pick people like me and you, dude. And then I think I think there's a whole nother thing. There's a whole nother thing of psychology that goes in there because I mean, there's actually again, if anyone out there kind of wants to kind of see what happens to your mind and your body and how you interact with people after you've been gone so long and away from the planet, then away is a good representation of what it would be like.
So let's make a friendly wager here.
Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, no. I think there's only like 8 episodes of Away. I cannot do 7 seasons of the Clone Wars just to get you through the first season of Away.
I'll watch Away. That's a fact. You two.
You're right, James.
There's weight limits. Weight limits. They too much fuel to put us big boys in space.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't even make it up to 1G, and I'd be asleep. So I mean,
I don't want to go. Just be clear. Okay. By 2030, do you think we'll be to Mars?
No.
2040.
Yes.
All right. So we'll put a little friendly weight. So 2040. That's 20 years.
We'll have to work up something on Bitcoin because that's all we'll be working with is Bitcoin. But if I start investing in Bitcoin now, I would probably have enough to pay you back by that time.
I don't know. I'm just saying, okay, so at 2040, I think there's no shot we'll be to Mars. I'm talking about man or woman stepping foot on Mars. So, no.
You don't think so by 2040?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I really don't.
U.S. or worldwide?
Anybody. You can put anybody you want. I don't care. I really don't think the will there. I think it's more of a cool idea. The moon, you could get back. You believe you could get back potentially. They had contingency plans to get you back. I just don't think there's really that much will. I could be wrong.
No, I mean,
I think if we start to do what you said, if we start going to the moon once a month and started making progress there, I would change my perspective because then it
needs some oversight and some I hate to use the word publicity, but it needs to be transparent, a bit more transparency in what they're doing. So there's not you're never going to get support for any kind of new operation plan or anything from the public if you don't have some kind of transparency. So they need to see you doing stuff. That's the thing. So
well, let me say this real quick. All the money that we're wasting, all the taxpayer dollars we're wasting to help fund SpaceX, to fund NASA, to fund Space Force, and all this other wasteful stuff. That's to me, that's all a waste. Like we are literally just wasting our dollars, our Fed printed dollars to do that stuff. So to me, it's a waste. But
we're training up that next generation of pilot and next generation of company to get us from here to undisclosed locations and 10 to 12 minutes without having to take 2 days. So let's keep going with this tech and get it where it does its business.
You see Carter's comment. That's an old man right there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's probably it's sad that your everyday working person out there makes more than astronauts do. So I mean, their per diem would have to be high, but the astronaut salary is also not very much either, from what I understand.
Yeah,
they do it for the love, man. They do it for the love.
Oh gracious!
The per diem.
The per diem.
Well, once you get there, I mean, you don't have much to spend it on anyway. You go ahead and shine up these red rocks.
Listen, it's for one day. Right. You're gonna land and die, so it's one day. I mean, because I mean, seriously, Greg, how much did it pay you to go to Mars? Like, if you knew, it's just as safe as flying, and all that stuff. Like, you weren't worried about the safety stuff. How much would it pay you to go to Mars? There's just not enough money for me. I don't leave my wife and kids behind.
It'd have to be pretty bad here for me.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
even with Biden getting elected, it's still not that bad.
It's not that bad.
I mean, it's still not that bad. I mean,
not that bad.
but I also wouldn't want to, load the wife and kids up and everybody and take them to Mars either. I also wouldn't, because I would want somebody else to do that. I want somebody else to say, "Oh, you remember that guy that went up there?" You you would be like, "I'm not going to do that." You remember that guy?
Yeah, I would be going. Yeah, it played out like I thought it would. Like I would be that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I told you. So,
told you so.
Told you so. Okay, we got guys said more research yet to be done. Might be 2050. So he's saying 2050. I think that's. Honestly, I do not think that the wheel is really there to go. I think it's more of an idea, unless we start doing stuff like you say, building out the moon. But I really don't think that there's as much interest as people.
And bro, by the time that if they ever put in a plan in place or do anything like that, we'll be so old we'll be last on the list to go anyway. It's not gonna. So if they want to start transporting people to other planets and start putting civilizations and cultures there, it's not going to be like the vaccine. The elderly and the workers are not going to get it first. It's going to be the ones with the money. It's going to be the ones with the multi-billion-dollar engineering degrees. It's going to be people that they're going to need to set up worlds. So it's not going to be me. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, there's going to be no need. There's going to be no need to drill offshore wells on Mars. So I would be last on that list everywhere.
And this final comment is that I know we got to move on. Is that we only populate like 10% of the planet now. Like we've got a lot of room to fill this thing up, and so let's focus on here. But that's just me.
Agreed. We do need to focus on here and stuff like this. Electric frac pack.
Frac.
I caught a little bit of your chat with Josh about this, and I do agree with you on some of the comments you made. So it's like, as soon as you plug it into the grid, what does it do?
Mm-hmm.
Does it how much structure issues do they have? How efficient is it? I mean, I haven't seen any of the early reports coming from it, but I guess I can dig into it and look at it. But I mean, you'll know if it was successful, if Climarak starts doing nothing but rigging up with electric pipes.
Right. Well,
you'll see how successful it is if they fully utilize it 100%. If they only put it out there, this one package, they only put it out there and go, I'm never doing that shit again. Then they would be like, okay, it wasn't that successful. But what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and I think that the ROI on these rigs is, and unless you've got some kind of tax credit, initiative, that the ROI on these rigs is it takes a long time to make your money back, so they have to be really efficient, really that much better. And you kind of have to assume that diesel's staying at a certain price point and all this stuff. So interesting to watch, but it's with the other, it's the same thing with electric vehicles. You start saying you have brownouts in certain areas, and you start plugging stuff into the grid, then that seems like a recipe for disaster.
I'd have to look, Jose. Is this all electric or is this LNG turbines that turn gas to electricity? Okay, so I don't know about what's behind the grid part of it. So you may be right. There may be LNG on the other side, turbines doing the electrical work, but and then you just basically a bit carnivorous. You're just going back to the original source for more of the fuel, right? So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I read it wasn't LNG, but maybe I misread the article. But the way I read it was using the grid energy, but I could have misread it.
What I'm talking about is Jose's on about what's feeding the grid.
Oh, yeah.
So he's 2 steps over, what's actually, and I mean, no, he does say he does make a good point there about how do you know what's going into the grid? You don't. So. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. I mean, unless somebody out there has a strong argument for it not being one, then it is. I mean, but again, I also when we start talking about fossil fuels, I also, the terminology I don't think is. I mean, not all of it comes from a fossil. I mean, so it's mislabeled.
Yeah.
Does it come from a rock? Yes, but I mean, if you named it rock fuel, nobody would Nobody'd be interested in it. So if you just name diamonds, rocks, nobody will buy them. I mean,
If you call gold metal,
look at this shiny
piece of
metal. Yeah, nobody would want that. So you have to be fancy. So,
yeah, that's exactly right.
so we'll see how this goes. I mean, utilization, I don't see it being like, fleet wide with this thing, just simply because the cost probably to upgrade to a full electric system is probably pretty high. I don't. First off, you have, what was the last thing I saw that from Halliburton? There was over something like 3,000 gen kits and trucks sitting in that yard, under cold maintenance or, stacked. So there was, they went in and done some, some minor maintenance to keep things turned over and rolled over. But you imagine just walking into that yard and saying, sell all of that shit. Just go sell all of that.
Right.
And we're gonna go just buy electric stuff. We're not even gonna worry about it if it actually really works. We're just gonna go get it and we're gonna do it until we get it to where it's all electric. So you're talking, a few $1 billion that they don't have to actually throw it going fully electric right now too. So
not happening.
No. Moving on. What do you think about this one? Now that's Fauci saying that we're going to rejoin the World Health Organization. So Ryan, why, and just for the listener, why did we actually leave the World Health Organization to begin with? So from Trump's side.
Yeah, Trump believed that China and other nations were getting disproportional favoritism from the World Health Organization to cover up, things that China was doing as it pertains to COVID-19, and that, I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that these big multinational organizations, don't really serve the U.S. interest, despite the U.S. being the biggest person in there. So, so essentially, in January this time last year, the World Health Organization came out and said that China was really cooperating with the virus and turning over stuff and And then you can go look the timeline up on this, but like when Trump said he's going to pull out, a story broke in the AP saying, by the way, yeah, China wasn't cooperating. So Trump had been pound that for months, and the WHO had been denying it, and then all of a sudden they came out and affirmed it. And of course, no one ever said anything about it. Like no one, didn't make the news. Oddly enough, I mean, it made the AP, but it wasn't like a story that got picked up national coverage. Oh, China lied, because that didn't fit their narrative. And so,
right,
he felt like it seemed that they were giving bennies to China and kind of covering for them. And
so what changes now?
Well, I mean, nothing. I mean, so here's the thing. The World Health Organization came out in August or September and said, lockdowns are bad, which anyone with a brain could have told you lockdowns are bad. And so I don't think it's hard for me and you and average folks to realize how out to pasture some of these folks are. Like they're really gone. And Fauci, I don't know, Fauci obviously maybe thinks maybe he's a good guy, maybe not. He's obviously thinks that he
listen to them. They listen to themselves talk so much,
yeah,
that they believe what they say all the time now.
Right. So he said that we need we don't need a mask. It turned out that was a lie, because he didn't think that we could. If he said you need a mask, we'd all go buy them. Okay. Well, that's what he said. Seriously, you can go look it up. He said we don't need a mask, and then asked.
You're right, Jose. That's one of the big things there. Yeah, we will.
Oh yeah,
we will.
Yeah.
Tons and tons and tons of it.
And so, then he said that we need like 60-70% to get herd immunity. Then the other day he came out and said 80 to 90% or whatever it was. They asked him why. He said, well, the science kind of changed, but also if I said 80 to 90%, people wouldn't have responded well. So, Fauci doesn't think, for all the talk about truth, honesty, and transparency, whether it's Trump or Biden, none of these people really talk to you like you're an adult and that you can handle stuff. And so, if you want to have the Mars conversation, I'm happy to have the Mars conversation. You're getting on the rust bucket and you're going to die. Like that's the truth and transparency pitch right there. I don't need to sugarcoat it. if you want to get COVID vaccine, that's fine. You're probably, unless you're really old or you're really sick, you're probably not going to die. But this whole narrative that we need to be coddled as a society, if you do that to society, all you do is make the society act like children instead of treating them like adults. And so to me, it drives me crazy.
Do you actually think the first person is going to die that goes to Mars? Do you think
Oh,
the very first person?
100% death rate. I mean, everyone dies. So,
No, I mean for sure. I mean, but we specifically talking about Mars here. I mean,
oh, they're gonna die on Mars. They're gonna die on Mars. What do you think? What do you think they're gonna come back? They ain't coming back.
No. Wait. I mean, yeah, if you put it in a perspective where everybody dies, and I mean, if they all go to Mars, then they're all going to die there. But I mean, you're not talking about like stepping foot on Mars and dying the same day. I mean, it's not. I don't think.
Oh, no. I'm saying like,
you would think you would hope that we had it sorted out where they would make it at least the first 24. I mean,
oh yeah. I'm saying yeah. It can't. I mean, we've never.
This is why they need to do some transparency work here. This is why they need to,
I mean, think about the amount of food and supplies you'd have to take. So I'm assuming that they're going to get there.
This is why you only need to go with 2 people. Is that what you mean? Just because of the
right. I mean, and so yeah, no. I mean, I don't know if they'll make it.
There's only so much Burger King you can put in ship to behind you. So I mean,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. Drew Brees and the Saints.
Why you gotta go?
Well, I knew you're. Well, I'm a Saints fan too, but I knew you're a big Saints fan. So I think you're probably a little bit larger in life than me. So, but the New Orleans Saints are out of the 2020 NFL playoffs. The Bucks eliminated them. So, but it's here ESPN saying it's going to be a fascinating offseason for the Saints, who face a major salary cap crunch. So I didn't know this until reading through this one. I didn't know that there was a salary cap coming for. Did you know about the salary cap?
What do you mean? I mean, they've had one. What do you mean?
It says the salary cap has been steadily rising over the last decade, but in 2021, the baseline cap number every team starts its offseason with will fall from previously expected mark of 210 down to 175. So over 16.5% drop.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know that.
It makes all the sense in the world though. Nobody's going to watch the games.
Yeah,
I mean, so who the hell paying? Who's paying for all the money to for the salaries now? Who's paying all the money?
Right. No, I agree. It makes sense. I didn't realize. I hadn't heard the numbers, but it makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm glad to see Drew go.
You think he's tired?
So here's kind of my deal with Drew. He's the greatest Saint of all time. He brought us to the Super Bowl. And for all of that, I am eternally thankful. But I'm not, the past few years, he's lost to Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. You can't, and I get it. We should have beat the Vikings, 3 years ago. But you should be blowing out Case Keenum. You shouldn't be.
Yeah, he's dropping some rough losses there for sure.
Right. They went 4 or 5 years without making the playoffs, like 2013 to 2017. So that's not all his fault, obviously. But I think, and then
it's hard to think about the New Orleans Saints the last 10 years and not think about Drew Brees. Well, listen, that's the problem.
I agree.
It's almost like pulling up at your granddad's house and not seeing that old GMC sitting in the driveway. That's
right.
But
I agree. The other thing is though he's taken
commodities.
One or maybe 2 deals that were not very friendly to the team. So he wanted a lot of money, got paid a lot of money. Listen, that's his right to ask for the money, get paid the money, but it's also my right to get mad that you're hurting the team by taking so much dang money. And so, he's done a lot for the city, and I don't live in New Orleans, so that doesn't really impact me. I don't. Is he done? I think he's done. We don't need to bring him back again. I'm not saying we'll do better without him. It's just we need to move on. And it's like You know, it's like when you've been dating that girl.
rumors of who they like or who they're looking at.
Well, they've got Jameis Winston, and Taysom Hill on his backups. They supposedly like both those guys, but I don't know. I don't, they're pretty good. They don't need it. Okay, so here you go, Greg. The longest pass of the season. Did you watch the game this last weekend?
No, I did not.
Okay, so they ran a little trick play. They brought in Jameis Winston, ran a trick play to a 51.
They run the double hot dog blitz,
something like that. And they ran a little trick play. It was like 50 something yards. I don't remember what it was. Pass from Jameis Winston. It was like the Wildcat. So Jameis is the wide receiver. They ran like a double reverse. He throws a pass, 50 something yard touchdown. That's the longest completion of the year for the Saints. The second round of the playoffs. It's not like a 97 yarder. You're like, well, that makes sense. A 50-yard pass, the longest for the season. It's by the backup, the third string pick of the week quarterback comes in and throws it. So I mean, he's done. Drew's just done. Let's just move on. Like, I'm not mad. Just done. Let's just go on. I'd rather find out what we got than keep trotting him out there and not winning, because we know what we got with him, and it's just not enough.
Really, really, folks out there, if you can't tell, Ryan's really passionate about the Saints. Basically, what Ryan's saying is, unask Drew. Let's find somebody that can throw the ball, make completions. Let's find somebody that can win us another Super Bowl. That's what he's saying.
Something.
Well, speaking of managers and speaking of people that's going to take you places and win things, this Mets general manager Jared Porter won't be sending to anywhere else.
Mars.
He might be going to Mars before it's all over with. But it looks like Mr. Jared Porter, the Mets fired general manager Jared Porter on Tuesday morning. This is hours after they learned that he had sent unsolicited and graphic text to a female reporter in 2016. Now, just to refresh everybody's memory here, Mr. Porter has only been on seat 37 days. He was the general manager for the Mets for only.
Okay, here we go, Greg.
37 days, man.
Who will have lasted longer? The first person to land on Mars or Jared Porter as the Mets GM?
It looks to me like I think the person that landed on the moon will last longer than Jared Porter as the general manager for the Mets. Look, look, Jared's family, whoever you may be, you know what? No, I think it's hilarious. I'm sorry. I think if you went in there knowing that you had stuff on you, right, you would have probably told your boss, like, I don't probably want to. There's probably some skeletons in my closet. I don't want them to go public like that. So let me see what I got going on here. Let's see what's happening here. I mean, you're talking, what was that, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's, 4.5 years. That's not that far away, dude.
Well, okay, let's just talk.
You should have known, but Jared, you should have known. Well, that's 4 years. It's only 4 years. It's not like it's past statute. It's not like it's 30 years. Like it's 4.
Right.
He should have known something was going to come at him. There's no way. I was losing my breath. Oh, man, Jesus Christ. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I've been married 14 years now. Okay. I've never understood. You remember when Brett Favre sent the girl the pic, years ago?
Yeah.
I've never understood that whole deal. Now, when I was a young lad, sending around pics like that I guess you probably could have sent around some pics, but maybe that the cell phone really was, we had like the razor and stuff. That really wasn't the deal, right? Maybe some people were doing it, but not like they are now.
No, you'd have to, back in the day, you'd have to do a Polaroid and drop it in the mail.
Right. But the confidence to do that. You're talking about being detached from reality. Like, if you go look at the pictures that he's sending this girl, and I don't even know who the girl is, but if you go look at the it's like, bro, take a hint. So it can't be just her. There's got to be others, right? And it's got to have worked at some level on someone. And so when I talk about like Fauci and these guys being detached from reality, here's a great example. This guy's off his rocker. He is crazy sociopath. Like he is someone who does not understand the real world and does not live in the real world. And so you just take him, and I'm not saying Fauci's doing anything like this, to be clear, but I'm saying like this kind of detachment from reality. This is what's up with the elites and how they act. This is how they act. This is just crazy stuff. Who does this? I mean, it's nonsense.
It is nonsense. It's just it's also when where you talk about when people are out to pasture, like he must have been out to pasture thinking nothing was going to happen. I mean,
He was just ignoring his text over and over again.
What was he? What was he before he was the general manager of the Mets? What position was he before the general manager of the Mets? Why did it take him getting promoted to general manager of the Mets before this certain lady came out in public and said, "Hey"?
Well,
it doesn't look like it went. It doesn't look like she has gone public with it. It looks like she sent it to the Mets management. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, right.
James
coming in strong.
First on the rocket to Mars. Well, at this point in time, he wouldn't mind taking that rocket to Mars. To be honest.
Did you see the line about the picture he sent? It was like a dummy pic that he just has or something. Did you see that quote?
This was Newsday whenever I first ran across the original article, so I didn't get to see what
ESPN called him and asked him about it, and I don't think he realized.
What'd you say? His team? What?
Hold on, let me see here. Let me find this quote. This quote's astounding. Like this quote shows you. So I think ESPN called him and asked him about it, but I don't think he realized that they knew. I don't think Porter realized that ESPN knew that they were actually asking about a story. Like they're just kind of asking. Because I'm trying to find the quote here. I had a person. Let's see. Oh gosh, I have to find it. I don't know. It's but he sent a picture, of oh man, it's like the worst line ever. He goes,
"Well, the Mets let Carlos Beltran go, who was chosen as manager less than 3 months prior over his involvement in the 2017 Astros sign stealing scandal." Now that was sign stealing. That's Carlos Beltran, which if anybody knows Carlos Beltran, I mean, that's name, famous player. But this guy is not famous. Well, he is now, but he is not Carlos Beltran. I mean, they let Beltran go for sign stealing. This guy right here was only in position for 32 days.
Oh man! Oh gosh, I want to find this line. Is this line, Greg?
Porter's text messages became aggressive, and let's see, the reporter who was not identified by ESPN has since left the journalism industry.
Wow.
Told ESPN that she met Porter once in an elevator at the Yankee Stadium in June 2016. Once in an elevator in 2016. They exchanged business cards.
Oh, Porter, okay. Here it is.
Porter, who was the Cubs director of pro scouting, began messaging her that day, including thrice asking her to get a drink, once sending a selfie. Porter's text messages became aggressive and she stopped responding. But he sent 62 unanswered messages over the course of 3 weeks.
So hear this, Greg. Put on your smart guy hat. My serious voice out now. Reached by ESPN on Monday evening, Porter acknowledged texting with the woman. He initially said he had not sent any pictures of himself. When told the exchanges show he had sent selfies and other pictures, he said, quote, "The more explicit ones are not of me. Those are kind of like joke stock images. The more explicit ones are not of me. Those are kind of like joke stock images." So of the explicit ones or the borderline explicit ones he sent to her, he's saying that he has a plethora of joke stock images on his phone. And he's like, hey, let me scroll through. I'm going to send that one to her. Like, what's wrong with you?
Bullshit. Exactly. There's no way. Once you get caught,
If that's true, it's almost worse because, like, why are you going and downloading that? Like, what's wrong with you?
here I'm gonna send this girl that I actually kind of like some fake pictures of somebody else's junk, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna find this other photo here. I'm just some random other person's photo and send it to you.
Don't be sending it to anyone for starters.
Exactly.
Downloading off the internet so that you can send it. Like, what is wrong with you?
He'd be like, why you got this random picture of this guy's junk in your phone, dude? Say the terrible situation would happen where you became ill, got sick, died, whatever.
Right.
And let's see, like obviously the FBI is not ever going to want to get into my phone, but I know that my wife will want my phone. Everybody else will want my phone. So there's nothing really that secretive in my phone, probably except some passwords. But at the end of the day, if that was sitting in my photos, what do you think? Yeah. What do you think your wife? Wife, girlfriend, husband, significant other? What do you think? I mean,
it's
stupid. That's
crazy.
What you are. Stupid.
Crazy people.
And Mets, good luck finding somebody else. That was the first time that was the first time Steve Cohen had ever hired somebody. So he probably won't be hiring anybody else again.
Oh, for one.
Brutal. All right. We got some interesting stuff this week. Or was it tomorrow, isn't it? So McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Yes. UFC 257 fight card is coming up. So you got tomorrow, UFC 257. You've got Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler, Joan Calderwood, Jessica I for the women's flyweights. What's that?
I forgot Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler fighting this card.
Yep. You got Amanda Rivas and Mariana Rodriguez, women's strawweight. McMahon Muradov and Andrew Sanchez, middleweights. Armin Tazakaran and Matt Frevola, lightweights. You got Brad Tavares, Antonio Carlos Jr., middleweights. Sarah McMahon and Juliana Pena for the women bantamweights. Khalil Roundtree, Marcin Prashnio, light heavyweights. Mavzar Elov and Nick Lentz, featherweights. And Zalgas Zumagulov and Amir Albazi, flyweights. But the headliner there is Conor and Dustin. So what do you think?
I think, and I hope, to be quite honest with you, I think Dustin gets it done, and this is the beginning of the end, finally, the Conor McGregor period.
Well, you think this is going to, I think, so when does this come on tomorrow?
Well, the main event, the pay-per-view will start at 9. And then they'll probably fight about 11:30 Central Time, something like that.
The first time they met in 2014, McGregor took less than 2 minutes to put a TKO on him. So
He did.
Yeah.
He did. But let's see here. So McGregor, here we go. McGregor's last fight was against Donald Cerrone in 2020, which was a joke. Cerrone, was a joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Before that, his last fight was in October of 2018 against Habib, and Habib mauled him. Okay, before that, his fight was in 2016. So he fought 2016, 2018, and then in 2020. Now he fought Mayweather in there one time, boxing, but he's only had 3 MMA fights since November of 2016. That's not very active, and so it's just hard to imagine that he can stay at the top of the game. Whereas Poirier has just beat Dan Hooker back in June of 2020, and that's a top contender there. So,
and Hooker's fighting Chandler, right?
Yeah, Hooker's fighting Chandler. Poirier is 32, and what's Conor got to be 34 now, something like that. Your Conor is he's 32. Okay, they're the same age. I thought Conor's a little bit older. So, if Conor comes back and starts fighting consistently, possibly, if he's going to What, James? You think Connor's going to win? No, seriously here. What? You think Connor's going to win?
I don't know from James' side. I think that I think this is probably the best competition that McGregor's had in a couple of years now. I mean,
Yeah, right. So obviously,
you're right. You're right. So,
is he?
well, you say, yeah, man. I don't know. I always go back to the thing, man. That Dana has made a lot of money with Conor McGregor, man. A lot of money. So you think Conor McGregor's going to win, James? So hell yeah. So I mean, just because the other boys from Lafayette, Louisiana, and can throw hands, don't really mean anything to James. But would I like to see? Conor win? I would like. What I want to see is a good fight. To be quite honest, I don't care who wins. I want to see a good fight. I'd like to see Conor go for the duration. I'd like to see Dustin go the duration. So, to this 2-minute thing where they go in and TKO him in 2 minutes. That's like one of those Tyson's things from the late '80s, and I don't want to be. I like to just go in there and see them maul out each other for a long duration of time and get your money's worth, man.
Here's bet you first trip. Okay, let's just take a look at Poirier's record. His last let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. He beat Dan Hooker. He lost to Habib. He had Habib in a deep guillotine. He fought Habib. I know he got beat sooner than McGregor did, but I think he had Habib in more trouble than McGregor ever did. He beat Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis. I mean, those are top level fighters that he's been fighting over the past few years. Conor beat Cowboy. Cowboy, listen, I know he's a fan favorite. He's washed up. Cowboy is
done.
He's lost 1, 2, 3, 4 fights in a row, and his last fight was considered a no contest. I didn't know about that. Okay. And so he's washed up. So Conor beating him means nothing. Then he beat Khabib, and then
McGregor looks to be the favorite across the top here. Predictions. So
okay, listen. I tell you what, James. We'll be back on here next week, and
it's almost almost tied with Hooker and Chandler. So
yeah, I'll put my reputation on. I'll be here next week, next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Time, and we'll see. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. And if I'm right, then you pay for Mars.
I don't want to fight either one of them.
No, heavens no. I don't just get crazy here.
Yeah, James, I know you're biased. With the IRA. I get it. I totally understand, and that's me being from Louisiana, so I probably just to be a bit biased with Dustin too. But I'd really like to see a good fight. So I'd have to go pay my $65 to watch that one fight. Although I think there's a couple other fights in there that'd be worth the money.
Yeah, the Hooker Chandler fight's a good one.
Yeah. I don't want to look like that either. So see his face. That's brutal, man. Jesus. What was the other thing right on there? There was we were going to talk about Harden. Wasn't it? I didn't even grab a link for that one.
How you doing? You're a Rockets fan, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I was. Let's just put the big W in there. But I mean, I watched his first I watched his first game he came out with him, and I mean, he did all right. That's his usual style. He looked like he was at home already. Like he, looked like he had his blanket and his teddy bear, and looked like he went out there to play.
Right.
I mean, it looked like he was at home, and maybe his dramas. I mean, to be honest, I wish him the best. I do. He's done a lot for the Rockets here, and he done a lot for Houston in his time while he was here. He did a lot of, that's what you pay these guys to do. You pay their ass to do their job, and that's the thing. If they start thinking they're exceptional and they're above, you go back to our Mr. General Manager for the Mets here.
Yeah.
If they start thinking they're above what you pay them to do, then that's whenever they go out to pasture. And I don't ever think Harden was at that point where he was out to pasture, but I'm just glad that he's happy wherever he went. So
the depressing thing for me is that might be the team that can beat the Lakers. And I hate the Lakers. I don't like Harden, but I might have to pull for the Nets to beat the Lakers. So that's the depressing thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, next time they see each other will be was it February? Late February?
Well, yeah, I must be in the finals, but yeah.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to work out for the
Oh,
Nets?
it's hard to bet against LeBron, which I don't like him. It's hard to bet against him.
Yeah. So who knows at this point? I don't know if I don't know if Harden. Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It is hard to bet against LeBron. The more I sit here and think about it, I was like, I don't really want to make this comment because I'll be wrong. But yeah,
I know.
that's just
I'm
the
a
way it
Celtics
is.
fan. They have no shot this year, so it is.
What'd you say?
I'm a Celtics fan. They have no shot this year, so it's just kind of hoping for the best.
Well, the man, the Celtics were always good though, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm Larry Bird Celtics and Danny Ainge Celtics, and these are
No,
the guys. Robert Parrish Celtics.
we'll still take you. Come on in. The water's warm. Take you on the bandwagon. We're not going anywhere, so it's okay. Now's the time to join. We're not winning it this year.
No, they're not. But I didn't realize I was that old, man. How old are you, Ryan? You 31 now, or what?
35. Be 36 this year.
No wonder you brought up the razor as a child. I'm 45, so I got you by 10 years. We didn't have no cell phones. When you started talking about we had cell phones, I was like, what? He started I'm starting to realize that I've got a couple of years on the boy here.
Born 1985.
Wow, I got you by 10.
By a decade.
A smooth decade. As long as XL Pipeline.
Yep, you got XL Pipeline on me.
Oh, it's brutal. That's brutal. All right. Well, man, it's been another good show. I've laughed.
Yeah, fun
it's
as
good, man. I love it. I love it. All right, everybody. Well, this is Greg, and that's Ryan with he's with War Room Media, and I am with Rig Links. We try to do this at least once a week. We had to move this one to Friday because I was coming back in from undisclosed work. So yeah, everybody out there is great, and thank you for tuning in. We do this once a week, as I said, on Facebook, LinkedIn. Soon to be no Periscope after March. Was it 1?
Yeah, but it's gonna be on Twitter Live, I think. Assuming
so they're swapping over to a different. They're changing, basically rebranding. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, my understanding is that Periscope's dying, and then
that ought to put it in perspective for you there, Ryan, with your age.
An 85. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just a pup. So in 85, and Periscope's going away, but then everything will just be on Twitter Live. But they haven't released the API for StreamYard and whoever to publish there yet. So that's happening. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, all right, everybody. I think that's a wrap.
And hey, listen.
Yes, sir.
And unsolicited texts and pics.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
Just take it for your boy or don't do that.
We're ending the show here, but again, when you start talking about, you got to think about your role in the unsolicited kind of exchange, because you can do one hit of Xanax, you can't remember what's unsolicited or not. So, and from what I, not being a public investigator, but if you're under the, if you're underneath some kind of substance use, and you can't make recollection of what you did, then at the end of the day, you don't need to do it, period. It doesn't matter if it's unsolicited or if it is solicited, is what I'm saying. You don't need to do it. So it's not good at all for anything.
He's 10 years older than me. He's much smarter than me. And Alyssa, thank you for the nice comment.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I also wish today it was different. Yeah. All right, Ryan. That's a wrap, buddy.
Adios, folks.
Adios. You've been watching Overtime, a live series brought to you by Rig Links and War Room Media. Your hosts have been Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglinks.com. Tune in next Thursday at 10 a.m. CST for another live episode.